As I approached the dark, rigid gates beckoning me, I took a daring step beyond its looming walls. I had a deep, unnerving feeling of melancholy. Before me stood a brooding bridge surrounded by tall, dead trees. There was a faint smell of death, shadowed by rotting wood. When I began to walk towards it, the snow gently and majestically falling upon the ice beneath my feet, I could hear my heart pounding like an echoing drum inside of me. I slowly crept across without a single breath, for fear of awakening the loathsome, crumbling old bridge. While doing so, I felt watched, not by someone or something, but by the slithering, ink-black stream. I picked up my speed to a steady stride. I desired nothing more than to leave the wretched place, but to my discomfort, it led me to a sickening, miserable farmland. Without any other option, I took a deep breath and forcefully willed myself to go forward. I looked around at this somewhat abandoned, abnormal terrain with pure bewilderment. It seemed to have been the ruins of some unfortunate outbreak of war. This fueled me with a peculiar urge to move on. I could see the dark outline of the horizon. It had given me false hope, until I caught sight of a deteriorated clock face. For a while I stood there motionless, staring into its eyes and thinking to myself that it perched on the roof as a beacon, but loose and somewhat distant from the world. I don't know how long it took before my brain snapped into action and made me curious enough to seek out what this clock was attached to. I was yet again stunned. I felt as if in some kind of vivid nightmare, for the house was sinister and menacing. At first sight you would believe it was frozen in time by the winter snow. I stumbled across a frozen fountain, and after that the lonely empty house was just standing there for all good to shrivel from it in terror. To the left of the clock house, vines clinging with foreboding crept up the building like a predator on its prey. This meant I could not see through the windows, but on the other side I glimpsed vast and ghostly halls. As I came to the door, I found that it was slightly ajar. I mustered up all that was left of my courage and walked inside. My first impressions were that it had belonged to some rich couple, as there are many worn and torn paintings of the two hanging loose on the walls, following me with their gaze. It looked as if the house had been unused and neglected for a good few years, because weeds had started to creep up through the floorboards. Glass from the back door had been shattered on the floor, so I trod carefully to the staircase. The carpet was covered in moss and rusted. I passed the living room with a quickened pace as I felt like an intruder and didn't want to impede on the house any further. On the second floor were the bedrooms. I prevented myself from venturing into these weeping rooms, for my imagination had a wild tendency to create adversity from whichever dismal thing I looked at. At last, I had found what I was looking for.